Thank you, Robert, for recording everything. We post everything onto YouTube, so Robert has a YouTube account. It's like Colorado, no, Bernie 2016 Colorado is the YouTube channel, and you can find all the training. So if you have a friend that can't make it to the Skylark, you can just send them the link, they'll love you. All right, so hopefully pretty soon, good? All right, so there's now staff here in Colorado. Up till last week, there was no staff, and this was all like a grassroots movement. So there's 2 people that have been hired to kind of run Colorado right now. And there's a state director, her name is Dulce Saenz, and she's awesome. And then right under her is this guy named Josh Phillips, and he's the state field director. And Josh called me today and he was like, hey, I'm gonna come to the Skylark tonight and tell everyone some good news because we finally got an office. They got an office today, so they're all excited. And then like right before I walked in, he was like, hey, I'm not actually gonna be there. And I was like, oh, awesome. But that's what happens in the world of politics. That man is so busy, he's meeting with so many people right now, and if we can give him any kind of break, we gotta let him take it. Because he's been running nonstop for 2 weeks now, and he's gonna be running nonstop for months on end. So basically what he wanted me to convey to you guys is the fact that there is an office. It's in Edgewater. It's located off of like 25th and Sheridan. And they need help on Monday cleaning the office. So there's an event page. It's gonna be up on the Bernie Sanders map that you can RSVP on. It's not up there yet. It should be up there by tomorrow. They're gonna have 2 different shifts on Monday that want people to come between 11 and 3, and then between 5 and 8 on Monday. If anybody can come and volunteer and clean the space that will become the Colorado for Bernie's headquarter number 1. And then Wednesday, the idea is to do an open house throughout the day. They're gonna do kind of the same times, 11 to 3 and then 5 to 8 again. And I'm just gonna double check that. Because he said the space isn't huge, it's not that big. So they don't wanna just be like, hey, everybody come at 7 o'clock, and then they can't accommodate anyone. So the idea is, yes, 11 to 3 and 5 to 8 on Wednesday. And again, that is gonna have its own page on the Bernie Sanders map, so you can RSVP. They're gonna tag it with like the official event logo. It's awesome. So please, everybody, invite your friends, invite your family, especially like Wednesday is a really great day to come down because you'll be able to meet with Josh and really get plugged in on what his strategy is for organizing the state so that we win on March 1st. He is the guy you want to talk to. So yeah, that's gonna be fun, lots of fun. And the 19th, I really want to hit on this, is the next debate. It's a Saturday. And what the campaign wants us to do is they're encouraging people to put on debate watching parties like we've been doing the last couple times, but also in conjunction with this thing they're calling a Let's Make It Happen rally. And so the idea is that before your debate party starts, you start it an hour before the debate so that everybody can come. They're gonna have a video that we can just stream. Everybody will watch the same video across the country. And it's basically gonna encourage attendees to sign up as hosts for phone banking events. And then a host will walk around with a clipboard and get people to sign up and say, hey, I wanna host one. People can even be like, hey, I wanna host one, but I don't have space to do it. But I'll mark myself down as a potential host, or people can mark themselves down as, I'll attend a phone banking event, but I don't wanna host one. The host is gonna collect all that data, turn it into the campaign, and the campaign's gonna create the events for the people themselves. And so it's gonna be kind of cool, maybe a little hectic, but hey, who knows? What Josh wants to do though, he wants to use those Let's Make It Happen rallies as a springboard for organizing Colorado. So essentially, he would like to see a Let's Make It Happen rally in every single House district across the state. And there's 65 House districts. We live in HD2 right here, so we are going to have a Let's Make It Happen rally and debate watch party here at the Skylark on December 19th. If you live in HD2, please come here. If you live in one of the other house districts around Denver or the metro area, please try to find out if there's an event going on in your neighborhood, and if there isn't, maybe try to put one together with some other local Bernie Sanders supporters. My man Jordan over here, he lives in HD8, and they're gonna put on an amazing debate watch party downtown at 21st and Larimer. The Armory is the name of the place. So if you live in HD8, I don't wanna see you here. I want you to be at Jordan's thing, because we're gonna organize, basically how Joss envisions how we're gonna win Colorado is he wants to organize each house district. So we're gonna have 65 different organizations, and each house district is gonna have a house district captain. And then underneath the house district captain is gonna be a data captain, maybe 2 data captains. You'll also have a volunteer trainer, and you'll also have, a volunteer captain whose whole job is to go out there and recruit more volunteers. And then you'll have a training captain whose whole job is to train those captains on things like caucusing as well as canvassing. And then in each individual precinct, which there's 3,010 of them throughout the state of Colorado, Josh wants to have 1 caucus captain in every single precinct. So that's how we're gonna win Colorado. It sounds like a daunting task right now. You're like, wow, how are we gonna put all those people together? What's so amazing about Colorado is that compared to all the other states, the self-organized volunteers in Colorado is off the charts when you compare it to any other state. I don't know what it is in the water out here, but the campaign just looks at us and they're like, how are you doing all of that? We can't even get people in South Dakota to do anything. So that's all on you guys. That's props to you guys. So let's just keep taking it up a notch. That's what the campaign likes seeing. They like to see the numbers go up. And I'll give you some numbers right now. Right now, the big emphasis for the campaign and for the campaign here in Colorado is on phone banking. Phone banking, phone banking, phone banking. I know a lot of people are eager to get out there and knock on doors and canvass, but right now, we want to phone bank like crazy people. Because here in Colorado, we're targeting specific people. We have a list of about 9,000 people who have signed up on the Bernie Sanders website, donated money to the campaign, come to one of these events and signed up on a sign-in sheet. 9,000 people in the state of Colorado who have showed their support for Bernie Sanders but are not registered as Democrats. They're either unaffiliated voters, Green Party members, Libertarians, or God forbid, Republicans. Yes, there are Republicans throughout the whole state of Colorado and even the country that support Bernie Sanders. But the thing is, we need all of those people to be registered as what by when? By together, we're gonna pick one day, January 1st. When do we want to be registered?
January 1st!
As what?
Democrats.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so what we have is all these phone banks set up. There's people phone banking right now. They were like, oh, I can't come to the event tonight because I'm having a phone banking party at my house. 10 people are coming to my house. 10 perfect strangers are coming to my house tonight with their laptops. And we're gonna sit in front of our computers and call this list of Bernie supporters that aren't Democrats yet. And I swear to God, get in now, people. Because before we have to move into what's called voter ID, where we start calling everyone in the general population, these are the easiest phone calls you will ever make in your life for a political campaign. This is what I call low-hanging fruit, because all of these people have already shown that they support Bernie Sanders. And they literally are sitting at their house waiting for you to call them and engage them and activate them. Most of these people do not know that they need to be registered as Democrats before January 1st. Most of those people do not know that we do a caucus here in the state of Colorado, and that they have an opportunity to vote for Bernie Sanders on March 1st, and that is actually more important to vote for Bernie on March 1st than it is to vote for him in November 8th, 2016.
Absolutely.
Because if we don't vote for him on March 1st, and we're not all registered as Democrats, even though we support Bernie Sanders, by January 1st, we can't get Bernie Sanders the nomination for the Democratic Party. And on the day Bernie Sanders declared his candidacy way back at the end of April, like the second words out of his mouth right after he said, I'm running for the Democratic nomination, he said, and I will not run as a third-party candidate. I will not be a spoiler. I am in it to win it, okay? So anybody in the room, because I know there's always at least one of you in the room who's like, I'm just waiting for Bernie Sanders to run as a third-party candidate because that's what's gonna happen. No, it's not gonna happen. Because we're gonna win the Democratic nomination, okay? That is already assured. I'm not even questioning it. What the question is how much? What is the percentage that we win by? And this is where it's crucial. Because for me, I'm challenging everybody across the state of Colorado to get Bernie to 86% of the vote on March 1st. 86%. Did I just pull that number out of thin air? No, there's a reason for 86%. It sounds like pie in the sky, right? But Barack Obama got 66% in 2008. Hillary Clinton got 32%. All we have to do is bump that 66% up to 20% more, and we can do that. How do we do that? In 2008, 120,000 people participated in the caucus. 120,000 people total. The campaign wants to see 100,000 people come out and caucus for Bernie on March 1st. The Democratic Party of Denver, at least, this is what a lady who's like an officer of the party told me. The Democratic Party is expecting 117,000 people to show up this year. They're expecting less people to show up than 2008. So my challenge to you guys is, please, for the love of God, let's catch the Democratic Party with its pants down on March 1st. Let's flood the caucus with 100,000 Bernie Sanders supporters that these people are literally like, oh my God, what just happened? Okay? Because that's the only way we're gonna win. The way that the rules are set up in the Democratic Party, the way that delegates are apportioned to go to the national convention, is that it's all tied to the presidential preference poll that we're gonna take the very first order of business when we sit down March 1st at the caucus. They're gonna sit you down and they're gonna be like, hey, everybody in the room that supports Hillary Clinton, go stand over there. Everybody in the room that supports Bernie, go stand over here. It's like peer pressure gets exerted. This is not like a secret ballot type of thing. This is everyone in the room gets to see where you stand. And then there's gonna be people in the room that are gonna be like, why are you wasting your vote on Bernie Sanders? Don't you know that like Bernie can never beat a Republican and all you're doing is like assuring that we lose next year? Why don't you come over here and stand with the rest of us winners and caucus for Hillary Clinton? So go in there with a strong backbone, because that's exactly what's gonna happen. People went in 2004 thinking they were caucusing for John Edwards, and they walked out of there caucusing for either John Kerry, maybe even Wesley Clark, not John Edwards though. Because, and we're gonna save questions to the end, because people just are able to exert that peer pressure. So go in there, ready to caucus for Bernie, and don't let anyone sway your opinion, okay? And be ready to sway other people's opinion in the room. You're gonna see Hillary Clinton people on the other side of the room. Get those Hillary Clinton people to come on your side. Because the rule is, you will not get any delegates if you don't get at least 15% of the vote, okay? So that's where 86% comes in. If we can get 86% of the vote, then they don't get any delegates and we get all the delegates. And that is crucial because in the state of Colorado, we have 77 delegates plus 5 alternates. Of those 77, 13 are what are called super delegates. That's Governor Hickenlooper, Senator Bennett, Representative Perlmutter, Representative Paulus, Representative DeGette, and then the remaining 8 super delegates are quote-unquote distinguished party leaders. These are the establishment vote. All of these people are already in Hillary Clinton's pocket. 2.5 months ago now, her staff released a report saying, we have 20% of the delegates that we need to win the nomination. We haven't cast one primary vote. We haven't cast one caucus vote in the entire country. But her team can stand there and be like, we have 20% of the nomination wrapped up and in the bag. And they're absolutely right, they do. That's why it's crucial we get every single delegate that is available to us through the caucus selection process, okay? So the key there is flood the caucus so that it's not even a question that we're hitting 86%. I want to hit like 92%. I want to hit like 95%. I want it to be just insane so that like when they report this on the news, they have to report. They're going to have to report it. And they're just going to be like, the cool thing, caucusing, yeah, it's a detriment to democracy because like we can't just tell people, hey, go vote on this day. There's all these hurdles that you have to jump over just to participate. And the people who participate, their voices are amplified 10 times, 20 times, 50 times more than the people who just wait until general elections. Because the people who are caucusing are picking the candidates that everyone else is going to be voting for 6, 7, 8 months down the line, right? So ideally, we would have a primary, like we used to do in the state of Colorado, where anybody from any party can cross party lines and just come vote for the presidential candidate of their choice. And let me say this, because this is part of the political revolution. We are going to take over the Democratic Party. That's something we can do in the state of Colorado. When we do take over this party structure, we can be like, hey, you know what? Let's bring back the primary so that as many people as possible can participate in this process. But right now, we have to caucus. This is the only tool that is available to us. So we have to pick up the tool and use it to achieve victory. The thing about the caucus is, when you win a caucus, you show the whole political establishment and the whole political world that your organization is tight, that you have people power, that you can go out there and get volunteers to knock on doors and phone call people like crazy people, and that you can actually win elections. So caucusing is actually really cool for us grassroots insurgent campaigners because we get to show the whole political establishment who's sitting there like literally laughing at you guys. They laugh at you guys. They're like, ah, Bernie Sanders, yeah, a bunch of ragtags. They've never participated. They'll, burn out after a few months, after we beat them. That's what one lady asked me in a meeting. After Hillary beats you, are you gonna support her? So they don't expect you guys to achieve anything. And they literally sit around and laugh at you guys. So I need you guys to just keep your heads down, keep organizing, bring a bunch of people to the caucus so we can laugh at them at 10 p.m. on March 1st, when the 9 News has to report 90% of Colorado just went for Bernie Sanders, right? The Democratic Party is really concerned about giving the nomination to Bernie Sanders because, one, Bernie's not a real Democrat. Bernie Sanders is the longest serving independent congressman in US history. Hell yes, right? But Bernie Sanders understands that he cannot run a third-party campaign in this country because of the way that our political system is set up. All he would do is split the liberal vote and elect a Republican. That's what happens in this country when you run third-party campaigns. Hopefully, we can use the tool of the Democratic Party so we can put Bernie in the White House, so we can get stuff like campaign finance reform passed, so that in 10, 20 years, third parties are actually a viable option. But right now, in the current political climate with campaign finance the way it is, a third party will never be a viable option on a national scale. Maybe in a place like Vermont, right? Maybe in some small little city like Burlington, but not on a national scale. But if we can get real campaign finance reform like Bernie's calling for, if we can get federal funding of elections, which is the crucial key here, so that people like me and Kevin and whoever else wants to run for office doesn't have to go and beg millionaires and billionaires in order to do it. That's the problem with our system. Normal people can't just run for government because they have to go beg people for money in order to do it. That's what federal funding of finance of elections solves that problem. Because anybody running for any level of government has access to these federal funds that the taxpayers all pay for. That's democracy right there, right? So that's the future. That's where we're heading. That's the part of this political revolution. Because that's what it says on the back of Bernie's t-shirts. Bernie Sanders has the world's longest campaign slogan. Join the political revolution today. That's what this is about. This is not about electing Bernie Sanders. Yeah, it's about electing Bernie Sanders. But it's about more than electing Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders says it in every single speech he gives every single day. Hey, I'm going to tell you something that no presidential candidate will ever tell you. And that's this. If you elect me next November, I'm not going to solve any of these problems. He's like the anti-Donald Trump, because Donald Trump tells you how he's going to solve all your problems. I'm going to solve it. I'm going to solve it. I got good people. I'm going to solve the problems. I'm going to solve it. I got it. I'm going to solve your problems. I'm Donald Trump. And so Bernie goes out there and he does the exact opposite. And he's like, I'm not going to solve any of your problems. In fact, I'm running for president because we have these massive problems, these structural issues with our democracy and our system of government that I really think we should change, but I'm not going to actually change any of them. Because you know who's actually going to change all these problems?
We are.
You are. All of you people in this room tonight. And all the people that you're going to go get when you're phone banking and you're knocking on their doors, and the millions of other people all over this country. Because this is a people-powered revolution, political revolution. Don't be scared of the word revolution. It's okay. It's okay. And this political revolution is a long time in the making. Ladies and gentlemen, everything has coalesced into the perfect storm to where Bernie Sanders can actually run for president and be a viable candidate, and we're actually like this far away from putting him in the White House. Okay, like this is not something that could have happened 8 years ago, pre-Barack Obama. Without Barack Obama, we could not be sitting in this room tonight, because Barack Obama 8 years ago and his organization and his supporters proved to the world that not only Hillary Clinton can be beaten, but that a grassroots activated campaign fueled by people who want to see real change in our society can take the White House. But this was the problem with the Barack Obama campaign, is once Barack Obama was elected, all those people who put him in the office put their feet up, while all the people who voted against Barack Obama started organizing their butts off like crazy. And they're called the Tea Party. And there's a reason that the Tea Party took over Congress in 2010. Yeah, it didn't win the White House in 2016. Barack Obama was able to keep that. But they took the Senate in 2014. And now they run the legislative branch of our federal government. The Tea Party. Not the Republican Party. Let's just get that out of the way. The Tea Party runs the legislative branch of our government. Okay? And we got to understand something about the Tea Party. The Tea Party is run by a radical insurgency that is not interested whatsoever in normal congressional politics. So these people have no desire to sit down with the President Barack Obama and negotiate with him and meet in the middle with him and govern. They don't even want a government at all. So they have no interest in governing, okay? They truly are anarchists. And they really are. They really are. But not the good kind of anarchists like Noam Chomsky. They have this vision of America where corporations should rule everything. There should not be any government, and that corporate power should have everything should be privatized. Oh, they are, exactly. So these people are very dangerous, and what's really horrible is they control our government. Paul Ryan is the Speaker of the House, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Ryan. Did you see that guy's budget proposal a few years ago? The dude's a lunatic, and he's running the country. Mostly because the same coalition that elected Barack Obama decided to put their feet up in January of 2009, while the radical right organized like crazy people. So we have to give the Tea Party credit because they used the political system to their advantage, and they took over Congress. How many members of Occupy Wall Street are in the Congress right now?
Too many.
No, of Occupy, buddy. There's none. There's no Occupy members in Congress right now, but there's plenty of Tea Party members. So what I'm trying to talk to, and I've been saying this spiel for months now, is that we got to take two playbooks to win. The first playbook is the Barack Obama 2008 campaign playbook. That's how we beat Hillary Clinton, okay? By organizing at the grassroots level and winning the caucus. The second playbook is after we win and after we make Bernie the president, we have to stay organized for a long time, a very long time. Bernie Sanders is a long distance runner. That's what he does for fun, is he goes and runs long distance. But not only like physically does that what he does, but he's a political long distance runner. He's been doing this work for 55 years of his life. And so I meet so many people in this movement that are like Bernie's age. Bernie's 74 years old. And they've been doing the same work for the same amount of time Bernie has. And they're so excited about this campaign because they're like, this is finally happening. We're gonna make this happen. But the people who are really gonna make it happen are the young people in the room, the millennials. Because when you look at the numbers for the election coming up here, the millennials are the largest voting bloc, but they don't participate. Political consultants literally laugh millennials right out of the room. They're like, oh, you're the largest political voting bloc and you're gonna change the world? Yeah. Come back to us when you actually do that. Because in 2014, 80% of millennials didn't vote. And that's the reason why the Tea Party runs the Senate. Cory Gardner, what was the amount of votes that Cory Gardner won by? It's like less than 500,000 votes. It's ridiculously low. We could have beaten Cory Gardner. We could have kept Senator Udall in the Senate, okay? But it didn't happen because people didn't participate. Bernie says it best. When people don't vote, Republicans win. When people vote, Republicans lose every time. And that's the reason why they like make a molehill out, or what's the expression? A mountain out of a molehill over the voter ID laws. When you actually look at like the amount of voter fraud that goes on in this country, the cases that have been prosecuted of people like actually committing voter fraud, it's like 25 cases in the last that many years. Nobody actually commits voter fraud, okay? But the Republican Party will have you think that voter fraud is like the biggest threat to America right behind ISIS, okay? It's not true. Don't believe the hype. So what we need here is this political revolution that Bernie Sanders is calling for. And what that means is electing Bernie, but giving Bernie the Congress that he needs to pass all the amazing legislation that he's campaigning on right now. Because if we elect Bernie today, but don't change one member of Congress, we're not getting free college tuition. We're not reforming campaign finance. We're not doing anything. We're definitely not getting a single-payer healthcare system for everyone. I'll guarantee that right now. But if we can start sending some of these Tea Party members of Congress home, and more importantly, start sending some of these corporatist Democrats who vote with these Republicans, hi Michael Bennett, if we can start sending them home, yeah, because you know Michael Bennett voted for Keystone XL. right? Before, thank God, Barack Obama vetoed it. But if it was up to Michael Bennet, your Democratic senator, Keystone XL would be a go. It's green light. He voted for it. Why should Michael Bennet be representing you as a Democrat, as a progressive? The Tea Party doesn't stand for that. They got Eric Cantor, who is like the second most powerful man in the House of Representatives. They knocked him out in a primary. He lost to like a dentist, a man who has no political experience whatsoever, beat the second most powerful man in the House of Representatives, simply because the Tea Party activated in Eric Cantor's congressional district, and they sent him home packing, which was fine for him because he got this multi-million-dollar lobbying job. And so he just got to come back into Congress, and instead of like trying to convince these guys to vote, he just got to tell them how to vote now. That's what Eric Cantor does in the private sector. So what we need to do is take a page out of the Tea Party's book and understand that it's okay to primary Democrats with real progressives, with real people that are actually gonna vote and like represent your interests. And I'm not just talking about like at the state Senate level, I'm talking at every single level of government, from the sheriff to the school board, Jeffco, Douglas County, the Koch brothers coming right in there, spending millions of dollars to elect Tea Party officials at the school board level. Like, this is happening right in our backyard. Koch brothers live here in Colorado. Huh? They're your neighbors, huh?
In Westcliff, yeah.
They're in Westcliff.
Yep. My daughter goes to school in Highlands Ranch.
So, let's do it, people. Bernie's calling for a political revolution. Let's do it. My friend Imran, though, I love the way that Imran talks about this political revolution, because he's like, man, it's so easy for our people to fall into the same traps that the Tea Party falls into, which is getting angry at the system and thinking that we have to like have this fight, that we gotta fight out of anger or something like that. That's what they do. No. Our movement is about compassion, and it's about love, and it's about bringing people together. So we need to be able to start communicating our message to everyday average Americans from every single walk of life, what it is that we really want from this political revolution. And I'm not gonna just tell you right now, because we're gonna have to sit around as a community of people over the next few years and really hammer this out together. What is it that we want from our government? What do we want a government by the people, for the people to actually look like? I'm not gonna sit up here and tell you. I want all of us to sit together and come up with that. But for us to get to that state, we have to use different tactics in terms of speaking to people, not out of hate, not out of fear, not trying to divide people. And that's why I love Bernie, because when you really listen to Bernie's message, that's what he's talking about. People get mad at, like hardcore leftist people get mad at Bernie Sanders about his stance on gun control. Okay, I think Bernie Sanders' stance on gun control is exactly what this country needs right now. Because he's not saying nobody should have a gun. He's like, no, I'm from Vermont, which is a rural state where there's lots of people with lots of guns. And I understand that. But I also don't think I don't think you should have easier access to guns than women have to health care. Okay, let's just think about that, right? He wants to bring common sense. He wants to bring people together, yes, Republicans and Democrats, and he wants to sit them down at a table and meet in the middle. And this is really hard mentality to get, because since the 1970s, since Richard Nixon's presidency, we've been living in this wedge politics where it's all about dividing each other, and it's all about like being in your tribe and they're the other over there. And it's really manipulated the whole political landscape and turned it so hideous and so ugly that regular American people are disengaged and they're apathetic and they don't care, because they see the bickering and the petty infighting and the fact that I can elect a Republican or a Democrat, but the corporatist dudes, masters of the universe that run Goldman Sachs, still win every time. It doesn't matter if Bill Clinton's the president or George Bush is the president, right? So that turns people off, and people aren't participating. And what happens when people don't participate and people don't vote? Republicans win. And corporatist Democrats win. They win too. Hi, Bill Clinton. And so, Bernie's movement is awesome because he's getting so many people engaged for the first time. He's getting apathetic people who got disengaged from the system, like myself, back in the system. He's getting people who have like always been political, but never like really had like a clear path of what to do. He's getting all these people involved, which is awesome. And this is how we're going to fuel our people-powered revolution, okay? Because the time is now. I was telling a group of people up at CSU, half the room was baby boomers, half the room was millennials. It was literally split 50-50 like that. And I said, hey, young kids in the room, these guys right here, they're the reason a cultural revolution took place 50 years ago in this country, in the 1960s, okay? But what didn't happen, a political revolution didn't accompany it. Instead, because of that cultural revolution, and because of demagogues like Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan, they were able to exploit that cultural revolution for their own political counter-revolution. And that's how we get the Reagan Revolution of the 1980s. And that's how we literally get set back 30, 40, 50 years. I think the best expression that describes the Tea Party is the fact that they are literally trying to erase the 20th century. And you think about it and you laugh, but when you think about their policies and what they want to enact and what they want to get rid of at the federal level, they literally want to pretend like the 20th century never happened. And they want to take us right back to 1899. Okay? Which is insane, people. That's insane, right? So let's get in the arena. That's a phrase Richard Nixon used. Let's get in the arena and battle these people on the political level. Okay? Because, man, they're kicking our butts right now. They're kicking our butts, ladies and gentlemen. But we got people on our side. They might have all the money. They might have all the political power. But they're about to find something out on March 1st. Let me tell you what. That people-powered revolutions, they win every single time. So I'm going to get into just a little bit of talking about phone banking. Because, man, I got Nita here tonight sitting at the bar. Nita lives right around the corner. She runs a Facebook page called West Wash Park for Bernie. So if you live in the neighborhood, go home and like her page, get involved with her. Nita has been phone banking people across the state of Colorado who support Bernie Sanders, but aren't registered as Democrats. And she calls them up and she's like, hey, I know you support Bernie. I know you're not registered as a Democrat. This is why I need you. This is why Bernie needs you to be registered as a Democrat by January 1st. And these people, they sit on the phone with her and they're like, well, how do I do that? And she's like, you go to this website. And they're like, all right, I'm there right now. I just became a Democrat. Nita has called, how many people do you think you've called in the last 2 weeks? 700? Or 750 people? That's the number of dials. Okay, so like, I gotta let you guys know this right now. When it comes to phone banking, most of these phone calls are disconnected numbers because you're getting these numbers off of voter rolls, which are notorious for having bad numbers. Most of those phone numbers are years old. They're probably connected to a landline. Who even has a landline anymore, right? Put your hand down. No, you don't. Yeah, you're gonna call and you're gonna be like, oh, disconnected number. Ring, 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 ring. Voicemail. We're not leaving voicemails. Please don't leave a voicemail. Just don't leave a voicemail. It's okay. You just say that they're not home. On to the next one. We get about 15% is what you'll normally get in terms of the number of dials you'll do. 15% of the people actually pick up the phone. But these people are all Bernie Sanders supporters, so when those 15% pick up the phone, we're getting a really good percentage of people being like, oh yeah, I love Bernie. Oh, what? I gotta do that? Oh, how can I do that? Online? I'm online right now. Oh, I just did it. Thank you so much. That's what we're doing. And that's how we're gonna activate 100,000 people. We got 10,000 of these people right now. We gotta get all 10,000 of them before the end of the month. I looked at the numbers today. Um, we've made 4,000 phone calls in the last 2 weeks. Just people involved in Colorado, people like Nita. The other day I sat around all day and called 200 people, right? So we need everyone participating in the phone banking program right now. If you have something to write down, I can tell you a link. Basically, it's really cool. We just give you a link. There's all these phone bank codes. We broke them up, one for each county or each house district. So there's 65 house districts in Colorado. We have 65 phone banks going right now, one for each house district. We're encouraging you to call your house district that you live in so you can talk to your neighbors. And basically, we just set up these Google documents online that anyone can access. And you just go to, all right, here it is. You gotta type it in just like this or it won't pop up. So that's why I'm like, okay. http:// tinyurl.com/capital COVPB lowercase ODS. Colorado VPB codes is what that stands for. HTTP, and I'll write it down too, so in case anyone needs it, I can write it down for you. You're gonna go to that website. That is going to direct you to one page, and we have the state broken up into 6 different regions right now. You'll go into the region that you live in. All of the people in the room, you'll go into the Denver Jeffco region. And then you'll go to that link, and then there's gonna be like 11 different phone banks that you can access. Right now, there are people calling right now. Let's see, let's look at the numbers. I love looking at the numbers. I just sit at my computer and watch the calls roll in. It's so much fun. Okay, so before I started this thing, somebody told me that they were gonna do a phone banking event tonight in HD6. So we're gonna see if they actually started calling anyone in the hour that they said. They're gonna start at 6, it's 6:55. So let's see how many people they've called.
HD7 too.
HD7. Which one did you do the other night?
HD8
This-
and HD2.
This guy, he did a phone banking event, Jordan, over in HD8, and I was like at my house watching it on the computer, and I was like, oh my God, they're just calling hundreds of people. This is amazing. Yay, go Jordan. I was like sending them instant messages like, go Jordan, go, go, go. So it's really fun. The internet's not working, so but man, if we can get people together in one room, and you have like 10, somebody told me they have 15 people coming over to their house tonight. You get 15 people together, you're knocking out hundreds of calls, okay? And it's important that we have you calling, even if you're just calling disconnected numbers. Because the next time when we clear those lists and we send it through another round, all those disconnected numbers are gonna be off of there. So you guys are doing important work by cleaning the lists up for later, okay? And then also you're doing the super crucial work of getting those Bernie Sanders supporters, empowering them with the knowledge that they need, that they literally are lacking right now. 9,000 Bernie Sanders supporters all aimlessly walking around Colorado. And this is what they tell you when you call them on the phone. Yeah, I'm voting for Bernie Sanders. And I'm like, no, you're not. And I'll tell you why you're not voting for Bernie Sanders. Because you're not registered as a Democrat. And because you probably don't know about the March 1st caucus, do you? Caucus? Oh, primary. We do a primary here, man. No, we don't do a primary. We do a caucus. What's a caucus? We gotta have 9,000 of these conversations. And then after we've gotten and activated all 9,000 of those people by the end of this month, we're gonna turn the phone banking project into what's called voter ID. And it's the same thing that we're doing when we go canvassing door to door. Voter ID simply means identifying Bernie's support. So we'll be calling, after January 1st, we're gonna limit it to just Democrats, right? Because only Democrats can caucus. And we'll be calling like 500,000 Democrats over the state of Colorado. And we're gonna be like, Hello, my name's TC Bell. I'm a volunteer with the Bernie Sanders campaign. I'm just calling tonight to see if you support Senator Sanders run for the presidency. And when they go, no, I'm ready for Hillary, we just mark them in our system. And we go on to the next one. We don't go, well, you know what? I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't support Hillary. No one should support Hillary. We're not doing that, okay? No, there's no need for persuasion right now. All we're doing is identifying support. So after January 1st, we're going to move into voter identifying for Democrats. We're going to be doing at the door. You literally go walk around your neighborhood. Nita's awesome. She held a canvassing event here in the neighborhood a few weeks ago. I'm going to tell them about the shoes, because the shoes are freaking awesome. Yeah, you should have. She got these custom-made Chuck Taylors that say Bernie 2016 on the side of them. Freaking awesome. They're her canvassing shoes. So Nita laces up her canvassing shoes, and she gets a list of voters from her neighborhood, and there's just going to be like little script on there like, do you support Bernie Sanders? Can we count on you to volunteer for the campaign if you do, right? And you're going to just circle numbers on these sheets, 1 through 5, and that's how we rank their support. 1 being somebody who's like, I love Bernie Sanders just like you, I feel the burn, oh my God. 5 being a person who's like, Bernie Sanders is a communist, get off of my porch, never come back here again. So we're just going to walk around the neighborhoods, identify Bernie Sanders. We're not cramming Bernie Sanders down anyone's throat. So when someone answers the door, they're like, I'm a Democrat and I love Donald Trump. We're not going to go, you know what? I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't do. No, we're not doing that. We're just going to go, all right, sir, thank you for your time. Talk to you later. Never. And so, this is what wins elections. It's that work. It's the phone banking. It's the conversations at the door that you're having canvassing. I know it's really fun to walk around and hold a sign, but that's not really what's going to win an election. And right now, we have to build an organization. We have to build an organization that can win a presidential election. We are trying to elect a man to the most powerful position in the world. As much fun as it was when it was like this whole grassroots thing, anybody can do whatever they want, there's pure anonymity, I don't have to actually listen to you because I don't like you and I'm still going to elect Bernie Sanders. Now we need to focus. The campaign is here in the state of Colorado. They are going to be the ones sending us the message, and we are going to be the volunteers that go out and send their message to regular voters. So we need to come together and listen to people like Josh Phillips, who's the field coordinator, the field director. I want to give him his proper title. He's the Colorado field director, and we need to listen to the message that Dulce Sands, who's the state coordinator, is going to be handing down. The biggest thing right now is structure, and we need to come together in organizational form in every single House district. So like I said earlier tonight, those December 19th parties, Josh wants to use those parties as a springboard to launch the structure that's going to win Colorado for Bernie. So please, we need to have an event on December 19th in every single House district throughout the state of Colorado. Okay? Most of you guys are lucky because I bet you live in HD2, so you guys can just come right back here on Saturday night, or if you live in HD8 like a lot of our volunteers do, you're gonna go to the Armory at 21st and Larimer and see my man Jordan, okay? But yeah, let's focus, let's elect Bernie Sanders, but then after we elect Bernie Sanders, let's continue on Bernie's political revolution that he's calling for, okay? And let's elect progressives at every level of government so that little girls like my kids can actually have a real future, a real shot. Thank you guys for coming out. Don't leave, don't leave, don't leave, don't leave, because we're building a community here. So this is about hanging out and talking with people, exchanging numbers, finding out where you live. Oh, you're my neighbor? Oh, we can canvass together? Oh, you want a phone bank? You've never phone banked before? I'm the phone banking queen. My name's Nita. Here, let me give you my contact information. Last week when I finished this, Josh came and we had maybe 65, 70 people here. And everyone stayed for like 2 hours afterwards. And Josh came up to me and he was like, this is amazing. I can't believe you guys do this stuff. And I'm like, I don't do anything. It's all them. All right, and we'll take any questions. Gia's got a question.
Yeah, I have several, but I'll just do one right now. When people tell you they're registered Democrats when you call, sometimes they're wrong.
Yes.
You have to make sure.
Yes. That's a great question. Gia said when we call these people, and I had so many experiences this week, I'm voting for Bernie because I'm a Democrat. And you're like looking at the screen, it's a giant U right on the screen. It stands for unaffiliated voter. And this is what I tell them. I'm like, well, you know what? The only reason that I'd be calling you right now is because according to the Secretary of State, you're actually an unaffiliated voter. The best thing, and I recommend, I'm like, just go online to the Secretary of State's website, govotecolorado.com, and check your voter status. And let's see if you're actually a Democrat. And most of these people do it while I'm on the phone with them. And they're like, will you wait with me while I do it? And I'm like, of course I will. And so then they go on there, and like 2 people this week were like, oh my God, I'm unaffiliated, you're right. But there's this little tab right there that says change party affiliation. So both of them became Democrats right on the spot. So yes, when you're phone banking and somebody's like adamantly telling you, I'm a Democrat, just be like, oh, I don't think so. What we are finding is, so Van gets updated, that's where we're getting these lists, is this thing that the campaign uses called Van. Van gets updated once a month from the Secretary of State's rolls. And so it just got updated 2 or 3 days ago. And so our old lists, I was looking at our old lists, and we had people on the list, like you couldn't get on this list if you were a registered Democrat. But once the van got updated by the SOS, you could see that people on the list had changed their party affiliation between the time. And so I would still call them up. I'd get them on there and I'd call them. And I'd say, hey, my name's TC, I'm a volunteer with the Bernie Sanders campaign. We're calling people that support Bernie Sanders that aren't registered as Democrats. But I can see that you are registered as a Democrat. And then I ask them, I go, did you recently do that? And they say, yeah, I just did it like 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, yeah, hey, give me a high five over the phone. 1, 2, 3, high five. High five! And they love it. So, but what I'm finding is those people, they might have registered to vote as a Democrat 1 week ago, 3 weeks ago. When I'm like, do you know about the March 1st caucus? They still go, caucus? What's a caucus? Don't we have a primary? I'm waiting, I'm gonna vote for Bernie in the primary. So it's like still. We got people that know what they need to do. They know they gotta register as Democrats, but they might not necessarily know why they need to register as Democrats. So it's still like this uphill battle that we're climbing. So everyone in this room, I need you to be like crazy people, and the only words out of your mouth for the next 3 months are caucus, 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 caucus. Everyone that you come in contact with. The guy who sells you coffee at Starbucks, you're like, hey, you know about the Democratic caucus? And they're like, we have a primary. And you get to have that conversation. What's up, Mark?
Is the headquarters in HD6?
The headquarters is in Edgewater, which is off of Sheridan. So I'm thinking it's more like an HD 22, 25, or 27.
So the other east side Sheridan is?
Yep.
Is what?
It's Jeffco.
No, east side Sheridan.
It's on the west side of Sheridan.
Yeah, but Denver on the east
Denver.
side, what else is
Yep.
that?
Right there, are you 5? I think it's HD 5 is right there.
Right, I think so.
Yep. HD 5. Gia.
I have a question about the deadline. You said it was January 1st. Is
Yes.
there any way to promote changing for Christmas and holidays that's really going to chop off some time? Is there any?
No, there's nothing we can do. The Secretary of State set that, it's set in stone. So what I am telling people, and the Democratic Party is telling people, do it before Christmas. Because Christmas happens and it takes over and everyone's like, oh, I gotta do it before January 1st. And then they're like, oh, but here's a dirty little secret. The deadline's actually January 4th. The deadline is actually January 4th because January 1st is a holiday, so the Secretary of State's office wouldn't be open, so they have to like extend it a few days past, so it's actually January 4th. And then I double checked with the Democratic Party because the rule with the Democratic Party is you have to be registered as a Dem 2 months before the caucus. So I was like, oh, is this a sneaky little way you get people registered January 3rd, but then they can't show up March 1st because it's under 2 months? I asked them that directly, and they were like, no, like it's written in the law that January 4th, as long as they're registered by that day, they can still caucus January 1st.
How did they come up with that date?
This is why we need to be part of the political revolution. So we can be in those rooms, we can be sitting at that table, not just one seat at the table, but we have the whole table, right? And we aren't sitting around here 2 weeks before the deadline going, how'd they come up with that date? Instead, we're all like, hey, the meeting's next week. We're coming up with the date, right? In certain states, I was looking up caucusing rules in other states. You can register as a Democrat right there at the caucus location. You can walk up and be like, I want to caucus for Bernie right now, and I'm an unaffiliated voter. And they're like, okay, here's the form. We're the only state that has this super arcane barrier of January 1st. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. But there's nothing we can do to change it right now. So we're all going to get apart, get involved in the system, so that next go around is completely different because we changed it. Nita?
Yes, one thing too, because of our system, there are people who are disenfranchised, such as if they have mobility issues or visual issues. And so what I've been doing, sometimes if I see, because you see, you make call it the age of the person, and so just asking them, and will transportation be an issue for you for the caucus? Because then we can send notes to TC. Am I saying this correctly?
Or whoever your House District Captain's going to
Or
be.
whoever
Yep.
HT is, yeah, we'll have somebody that will have that can put those notes in the van, and then when we're making those phone calls, getting people to the caucus, we will be organizing, I'm sure, rides. But I have a number of people I know, and one man that I talked to the other day, he said, I can actually drive a car, but I need to know it's wheelchair accessible, which I think it's required to be. But that's a note that just take anything along that line, just write down their name and their phone number that you will have seen, because you're not going to see it again. Shoot that information to TC or whoever it is, because those are notes that will be used later.
Yeah, I had a woman the other day, I was talking to her, and she was like, you got my son on your list? And I'm like, what's your son's name? And she tells me his name, and I'm like on the phone with her, and I can look her up in the system, and he's like already tagged as a supporter, as a volunteer, and I'm like, yep, we got your son. But it's valuable, because we might not have had her son. So like her giving him his name, and then me actually writing it down, and not just being like, Jason's your son's name? Okay, cool. He likes Bernie too? Awesome. But like taking the time to be like, Jason Voorhees, and then like sending it on to the HD captain, so the HD captain can tag Jason Voorhees as an actual supporter, Yeah, little stuff like that. Carpooling for Bernie is gonna be huge on March 1st. Think about all the people that won't be able to caucus for Bernie. Maybe we're gonna get people that fall through the cracks of that January 1st deadline. They love Bernie Sanders, they weren't able to register as a Democrat, or they're just adamantly opposed to registering as a Democrat, because some of these people exist for some reason. And they still wanna do something to help Bernie Sanders. You will carpool people on March 1st. That's what you will do. You will sit around for 8 hours on March 1st, calling people like crazy, reminding them to go to caucus that night. There's plenty of stuff people can do. I have friends that are like, I'm a felon, I can't vote for Bernie Sanders. I'm like, I don't care if you can't vote for Bernie Sanders, because there's a lot of work you can do for Bernie Sanders that will ensure that he wins. Diane.
If someone does tell you that they're a felon and can't vote, in Colorado they can vote if they are off paper, which means that they're out of the system and they're not going to a parole officer or anything else. A felon or a multiple felon can vote in Colorado.
That's
I'm
awesome.
a felon, and I have never missed a presidential vote or hardly any vote. Challenge them. Challenge them. I did my friggin' time. I'm going to vote every friggin' election.
That's right.
And you're going to have to friggin' stop me.
right, Robert.
As
Yeah.
long as there's not a case pending, you can vote.
Yes, exactly. And like she said, as long as you're not on probation, currently like going through the whole system, then you're good to go. But we're gonna find people that are young, too young to vote. Or you're gonna find people, college campuses are filled with these kids that don't wanna register here in Colorado because they don't wanna give up their voting rights in whatever state they came here from. So we're gonna get those college kids, maybe not all of them have cars, but we're gonna have them do something for Bernie on March 1st, right? Even if they can't be in the room caucusing, they're gonna be calling people, they're gonna be reminding people like, hey, come on, let's get you out the caucus. So there's so much work to be done. The phone banks are open right now. There's so much fun. Oh my God, the phone banking is so much fun. And get on it early while the low-hanging fruit is still there. The Bernie supporters, before that all dries up, and then you gotta just start calling regular folks. Oh, that's hard.
I
Gia.
also just wanted to mention when you brought up corporate Democrats, in Chicago we call them dinos.
Dinos.
Democratic name
Yeah,
only.
like the rhinos, yeah.
Right.
I like
Democratic
it.
name only are Mayor Emanuel, Democratic.
What's up, Mayor Emanuel? When are you gonna resign, Mayor Emanuel?
Hey, he's enforcement.
Is he gonna do it?
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen. I saw him just like an hour ago.
Oh my God.
He was positive, so I'm not
Wow.
positive, but.
Now, and this is what I'm saying, like, this is a huge thing. Rahm Emanuel is like this with the Clintons, okay? He was Bill Clinton's, like, one of his top advisors going back all the way to 1992. He left the Clinton White House to go become a congressperson. Well, first, he left the Clinton White House to go become like a hedge fund manager, and he made millions of dollars. Then he went to go be a congressman. Then, when Barack Obama gets elected on Hope and Change, the first thing he does is name Rahm Emanuel as his chief of staff. And it's Rahm Emanuel who tells Barack Obama, do not advocate for a single payer health care for all, because we can't get that passed. Leave it up to us, we got this. That's literally what he told liberal activists who were calling for a single payer healthcare system. Leave it up to us, we got this. And that's the difference between our movement and Barack Obama's Hope and Change in 2008. Bernie was on Chuck Todd, Meet the Press, 2 months ago, a month and a half ago. Chuck Todd pulls the I got you question. Bernie, how are you gonna get free healthcare passed for everyone? Well, I'm not going to. Millions of Americans out in the streets, when Congress looks out their window and they see millions of Americans protesting, calling for healthcare as a right, that's who's gonna get it passed. And then Chuck Todd's like, I got you again, Bernie, because in 2008, Barack Obama sat right here and told me that that's what his campaign was gonna do. Obama, his campaign was called Obama for America, and then they turned that organization into Organizing for America, OFA, and what Chuck Todd was basically saying, he's like, that's what Obama's plan for OFA was to use it as this like activist wing that like when Obama needs to get stuff passed through Congress, you just like engage the activists and then they like do it. And he's like, well, that didn't actually happen, Bernie. So what's different from your quote unquote political revolution from OFA? And so I'm gonna leave that question up to you guys, and I'm not gonna answer it for you. You guys need to answer that. What is going to make this different from OFA? How are we actually gonna turn this into real results like a single payer healthcare system for all? I'll give you a hint. This dude, Noam Chomsky, he came out and endorsed Bernie Sanders a few weeks ago. And Noam Chomsky's awesome. Every speech that he ever gives, there's always one person at the end that's like, Noam Chomsky, oh my God, I just found out how horrible the world is because I read one of your books. How do I change it? Because I want to change it all myself. How do I do that? And then Noam Chomsky just sits there and he's like, oh, there's plenty of stuff for you to do. Next question. And he will never give you a specific strategy or tactic because he's right. There's plenty of stuff for us to be doing. But recently somebody sat him down and had a video camera in front of his face and you can see it on YouTube, and they were like, Noam Chomsky, what's the best thing that you can be doing to make the world a better place right now? He's like, you can be organizing for Bernie Sanders. That's what you should be doing. He said, Bernie Sanders is doing some amazing things. He's saying some courageous things. He's advocating for some really amazing policies, but the whole thing's gonna fall apart. I'm quoting Noam Chomsky right now. He said, but the whole thing's gonna fall apart if all these people don't just start ignoring the facade of these presidential election cycles and these congressional election cycles. And he said, if we can just stay focused and organize on issues and not on electing people every couple years, but stay focused and keep our eye on the prize, then, this is Noam Chomsky talking, he's like, this has the potential to affect real massive change over the long term. But that's the only way it's gonna happen. We gotta stick together, we gotta organize around issues and not about elections. Elections they're on the periphery, right? Because we're gonna elect people that are gonna implement our policy positions, but this has to be like a person-to-person thing. This is a political revolution. And it's not just like electing somebody on horseback who's gonna ride in and save the day. No, that's what the Republican Party is trying to do right now. They're trying to elect a lunatic who's riding in on a horseback, who's blatantly calling for the banning of Americans. When he says he wants to ban all Muslims from coming into the country, he's including American Muslims. He's talking about your neighbors. He's talking about your community, okay? Like, I don't know about you, but that's a little too close to Munich 1936 for me. And I'm not comfortable with that whatsoever. So I need you guys to get out there so we can show, and like, that's what I try to tell people. No, the problem is not Donald Trump. Don't think for 1 second the problem is Donald Trump. The problem is the fact that Donald Trump can say that stuff and then surges in the polls every time he does it. The problem is the GOP itself. The problem is the base of the party. The problem is the fact that those people who applauded Donald Trump when he said he calls for a ban on every single Muslim that's coming into this country, because they applauded for him. That was the scariest part of that clip for me when I heard it on the radio. Wasn't Donald Trump saying some evil, stupid stuff coming out of his mouth, because I'm used to that at that point. No, what was really hard for me to hear was the audience be like, woo, yeah, uh-huh, woo. All these people, men, women, everyone, was cheering him on. Those people are voting. Those people vote. Those people are organized. And they want to put Muslims in a database and not let Muslims fly into the country. And they vote. Okay? So you guys should vote too.
Wait, one more thing.
Yes.
I just was at the grocery store and Newsweek has a special edition out, and they have one section of the 10 people to watch in 2016. Bernie Sanders is on there. Of the 10 people to watch, they had Ben Carson, but Bernie Sanders was on there.
And Bernie's on the cover of Rolling Stone this
Yeah,
week.
so by
And Time?
Time was post-voting.
No, did they sell it?
No, not Time. Time didn't put it on the sheet.
But he did win the poll on Tom's website.
Yeah, but don't buy them extra.
How do we volunteer for the new office?
Okay.
And how do we find the address?
That's a great question. I have the address for you right here. Everybody, if you guys want the address for the office, the headquarters, you can go home and look it up on Google Maps.
Should we send an email to Josh?
Don't send an email to Josh. We're gonna have a events page on the Bernie Sanders map. I created it tonight, and it usually takes a little bit for the team to like approve everything. But hopefully by tomorrow evening, you should be able to go right on the Bernie Sanders map and RSVP for Monday. Like I said earlier, we're gonna have 2 times on Monday to come clean at the office. Event approved. Okay, so it's up there right now. So you guys can go onto the Bernie map. The best way to find it on the Bernie map is when you go to map.berniesanders.com type in the zip code 80214. 80214, because that's going to take you right to this event. And it's called Headquarters Cleanup. That's the name of the event. Headquarters Cleanup, RSVP for that, and then you'll get like a reminder email the day before, and it says on there like the 2 different times, 11 to 3, and then 5 to 8. You can't like distinguish which time you're RSVPing for, so just RSVP and then show up at whichever time you want to be there. Then, hopefully within a day or 2, you can go back to the map, type in that same zip code, 80214, and you'll be able to RSVP for Wednesday, which will be the open house, kind of like housewarming, come on in.
So we're not being here then next Wednesday?
I'm still gonna be here on Wednesday, but like that's gonna be all day. So between 11 and 3 on Wednesday, and then 5 and 8 on Wednesday again. But I'll be here Wednesday. We're here every Wednesday. You know it. The 23rd of December is 2 days before Christmas. So I'm not going to make you listen to me, right? We're going to do what we did in November. We're going to have a potluck, and it's really fun. We had some awesome people come through last time, so we really, really want to see that happen again. 23rd, Robert's going to make a turkey again. We want everyone, we highly encourage people to bring food as well. And so Robert has an event page set up on the Bernie Sanders map. You can find it by typing in the zip code 80209. That will make this place pop up. And RSVP there, Robert has a link on there that takes you to a different page where we can coordinate what kind of food that we're all bringing. That way nobody brings another turkey.
Is it here?
It's gonna be here. We're going to do the potluck here on the 23rd.
Another turkey would be welcome.
Another turkey would be welcome. Or a ham, or anything like that, right? Thank you guys so much for coming back out. Oh, question. Oh, we're going to call on them.
You mentioned that Obama, beat Hillary because of his outreach. A part of Bernie's Bernardino's outreach. I see that young man over there with a Bernie t-shirt, but yet they're not available.
They're available.
Well, and that's what's awesome. The campaign is here now. That's because we're grassroots. Okay, this has all been grassroots, and so like, I literally have no money. I have 2 little kids. I get paid nothing by a giant corporation run by a libertarian that doesn't want to give me health insurance. I have no money, so I don't have any money to go and buy t-shirts for you and then bring them here and be like, here, buy t-shirts from
I
me.
understand that.
So,
I'm willing to pay for a t-shirt.
that's awesome.
BernieSanders.com.
Order online, bro.
Get them online,
But it's
BernieSanders.com.
available right here.
Well, like I said, I don't have any money to make it available right here. So, the campaign office is now here. So the campaign office hopefully will have stacks of t-shirts available. So anytime you get a hankering, as long as they're open, anytime you get a hankering to buy a Bernie Sanders shirt, you can go right on down to that campaign headquarters. But that's why we don't have stuff here, because this is grassroots. This is just me and this dude being like, hey, we know what we gotta do to make Bernie win, let's tell other people. Does that sound good to you, Robert?
Yeah.
All right.
But we have to buy each and every yard sign at this point, right?
And that's the thing is like, the Bernie campaign needs all the money they can get, so they don't sell those shirts cheap. Like those shirts are like 25 bucks a piece. So I don't even have 25 bucks to pay my rent bill, my electricity, my heat. So I definitely don't have 25 bucks to buy a Bernie Sanders shirt.
I can make use of those t-shirts.
No, and that's the thing is we don't want to make homemade t-shirts. We want to buy official shirts from the campaign, so we're giving Bernie Sanders our money so he can hire people and get people that are experienced so we can win. This is about getting Bernie Sanders elected. So the best thing to do if you want Bernie gear, I get the whole like it's a grassroots movement, let's make our own stuff. No. Go buy it from the website.
Oh, it's advertisement. It's advertisement.
Exactly.
One t-shirt out there, a guy said, who the hell is this guy?
Yep.
A t-shirt, like I said, well, who is this guy? He asked a question.
And I'm saying, like, if you want a t-shirt, buy it from the campaign so that the money goes in Bernie's pocket and it helps Bernie get elected president. All right, thank you guys so much. I have to go. My babysitter's gonna be so mad at me.